And I raised my hand and I said, yo, God, I can't figure this out anymore. I surrender to you. What did I just ask for? Like what? I was asking God for something, kind of like your vision board. I was asking God for something, and I was afraid that he was going to give it to me. It's 2024, and I'm rocking with you again. Not like I've left before, but I'm here. And some of you may know, some of you may not know that several years ago, I did an interview on my podcast about the journey. If you don't know, many years ago, about 2 decades ago, I jumped into the janitorial space, and I left my corporate job and became a janitor in order to experience what it's like to be a service member, to work in that field, and to be able to teach people how to build confidence through that type of industry. I don't know. I may have found it my duty or not. What really was happening was I was searching, right? I was searching for something different, something better in my life, and I felt as though it was outside of me. So I was looking for it, right? And I happened upon this gentleman who was, preparing a place for my wife and I to have dinner. He didn't think he really was, and I expressed to him my gratitude. I said, thank you. And this gentleman was surprised. And it felt good to see how it changed his demeanor when he understood what he was actually doing. He wasn't just wiping down the table, but he was preparing a place for my wife and I to have dinner. When he ran off to another table, I felt chills through my body, and I told my wife, I want to do that again. The journey, right? So that was several years back. Now here we are in 2024, and the journey still continues. I still have a business in the janitorial space, and I'm growing in all different areas of my life. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the fact that many of us, when we have businesses, we believe that the value is actually in the money that we make, when the value is actually in you. Have you ever thought about it that way? The value is actually in you. No matter how many commas and zeros you add, the value is in you. What I'm going to share with you today is a way where you can find joy and satisfaction in every day, and you'll recognize that you are gaining value each and every single day. In everything that you do, you're gaining value. You're adding zeros and commas to your life, not just to your pockets, but actually to your life. And in the grand scheme of things, what's more important than you? Nothing. I dare you to challenge me on that. What's more important than you? But like you and like me, there was something that was holding me back, right? I felt as though I needed to find something outside of me in order to feel good about myself, especially in the area of janitorial, especially when I look at myself as being like a service worker, someone who's a waiter or waitress in that space, right? We feel as though we need to seek more. I'm going to show you how everything that you're looking for is actually within you. And seeing that this is the beginning of the year, there's a lot of people out there who are setting up vision boards and setting up goals and so forth, and you're putting things on your walls and saying, hey, one day, every single day you're looking at it and you're saying, I am going to be X, or I'm going to have that. And can I tell you that the real secret behind that whole vision board and goal setting thing is not really what's on the board, but it's actually who you'll become when you attain that thing that's on the board? The journey. From the last time you've heard me and talked about it, yeah, a lot has changed. A lot has changed, and I can sit here before you smiling, although life is still lifing. There's joy on the inside. Well, how? With all this going on in this life right now, man, the ebb and flow of life, like, how can you still smile? Don't you want to smile? Don't you want to find joy and success in every single day? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how. Oh. But you might wonder, like, why do I feel the way that I'm feeling? Why do you feel the way that you're feeling right now? That whole idea of like, I want that thing. I look on Instagram, on social media. I'm like, I want that. Everybody's talking about the good part. Have you ever heard that song? Let's get to the good part. Everybody's showing you that, but they're not showing you everything else that's happening behind the scenes. That's why I'm here. Because as opposed to just telling you, here are the top 3 things you need to do in order to X, it's better when you can hear what happened and how I got out of. I want to hear your story too, right? And that's why we're here sharing. So over the past couple of years, something major happened in my life. I'm running my business, and something pretty serious happened in my personal life. And I had to make a lot of changes. And it was tough. I had a large circle of friends, and all of that came crumbling down. All the momentum that I thought I had going on there all came to a screeching halt while running my business, while having the challenges of running and being in business. You know what that feels like. People are still looking to me. You still need to be a leader, Garen. You still got to do your job, right? You still got to stand out front and with confidence and do the things that you need to do. People are still looking up at you. Put on your best face, Garen. But I was going through a lot on the inside. Now, maybe you're going through that same thing too, right? You're at this very period in your life and you're trying to put on the best face. Well, I had to work on myself. That was the personal journey, right? It's all the same, but I'll segment it for you. I had to put and create some time to work on myself and the challenges that I was facing on a rolling basis, even while business is going on. That included therapy. Now I pause because there are a lot of people out there, maybe you, who don't believe in therapy, or you don't feel like I need to sit and talk to somebody about some of the things that's going on in my life. Well, I was courageous enough, and you can too. I was courageous enough to take the step and go to therapy. And in doing so, I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about things that I was holding on to that was prohibiting me from actually achieving the things that I wanted to achieve. Again, remember we talked about the goals and the visions. You put it up on the wall. It's 2024, and you're setting some new ones up for yourself, right? Here's what I learned. Although I wanted to achieve certain things, there was a large part of the space inside my mind that was still holding on to some old stuff. And no matter how much I tried to be someone different to achieve XYZ goals, I was stuck dealing with all of that other stuff in my mind. Now, if you can imagine, right? You got a big circle. Let's look at it this way. Imagine, I learned this from a friend of mine, right? Imagine you are in Salt Lake City, and you're in the city, and on either side, there's all this mountain. And 3/4 of the city is the life and the stuff that you've been keeping in the back of your mind for all this time, right? It's been just running on a loop. And you want to build up new buildings in Salt Lake City, and you only have 1/4 of the city left. Well, you're going to start building, but then there's all this other old stuff that's been there. And it's been running on a loop, and it's beating you down. And no matter how much you try to build up new buildings and new cities, like you're still stuck with all this old stuff. So a buddy of mine said, hey, Garen, why not break down some of that old stuff and create a larger footprint, more real estate? And now all of a sudden now, you have the capacity to actually grow and be who it is you want to be. Well, at the beginning, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's a lot of stuff. I'll just push it to the side. I'll just suppress it and just keep chugging along. And he's like, Garen, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. Why don't you open up more real estate within your mind? It wasn't a comfortable conversation, but I took him at his word, and I went down that road of creating more space. Started dealing with some of that old stuff that I had lingering around. And I found out that I was experiencing, I was defining the things that I was seeing in the world in a way that was not serving me. And it was causing me to not hit my goals or not be the man that I wanted to be. I might be you right now. And no matter how many vision parties you go to, how many times you buy new planners and you set goals and you write it on your whiteboard and all of that, all of a sudden, for some reason, like you can't break through. Maybe there's some old stuff that you need to deal with. That was the reason why I went to therapy. That's the reason why I was courageous enough to go through it, right? And as my therapist would say, Garen, you need to learn to sit in your stuff. And sitting in it was one of the worst things for me. At least it felt that way. But it was actually one of the most beautiful choices I could have made because I've been able to progress as a result of this. All right, let's fast forward. I got to the point where on a daily basis, I'm doing my therapy, I'm doing my devotions, I'm doing my meditation, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up and being intentional about doing this because I want to make this systematized in my day. It's a part of my discipline, right? This is how I'm going to start my day so that I can be the very best. And one morning, while reading my devotions, I stuck my hand out from underneath the covers. I was doing it in my bed. And I raised my hand and I said, yo, God, I can't figure this out anymore. I surrender to you. I slid my hand back underneath the covers. I was like, oh God, what did I just ask for? Like what? Stuck my hand out again and I said, God, I want you to increase my territory. I pulled my hand back in. I was asking God for something, kind of like your vision board, your goals, right? The planner that you got all your notes in there, right? I was asking God for something, and I was afraid that he was going to give it to me. Well, at that very same time, something came to me and it said, yo, Garen, I want you to give raises to all of your employees. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Looking at the bank account, I'm like, okay, God, let's do it, right? So I started handing out raises because I'm looking at the economy. I'm looking at how people are struggling through life right now. And, I'm like, I'm going to help my team in a different way. And I started giving out raises to everybody. At that very same time, one of our anchor clients decided they wanted to go with another company. They wanted to cut costs. I'm like, God, I said, I want you to increase my territory. How is it that I just gave a raise and all of a sudden, all of this is happening? I get a call from one of my managers. Matter of fact, I call my manager and I'm like, hey, I was just calling you. And she's like, I know what you're calling me for, Garen. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, we just lost a client. I'm like, no, we didn't. She's like, yeah, we lost a client. I'm like, no, I was calling you to give you a raise. She's like, well, thank you. I said, God, I wanted you to increase my territory. And how is it now that I'm losing clients? And more clients fell off and more clients fell off. And I'm looking at all of this overhead. I'm looking at all of the bills that I have running this business, the raises that I just gave, not bonuses, raises, and we're losing clients? Like, yo, this doesn't make sense. Many of you out there are probably feeling when you set goals, all of a sudden life tends to make a downward turn and you don't understand why. Yeah, let me tell you why, man. If you look at a tree, right? A tree, in order for it to grow up, it has to sprout roots down. Something has to die in order for something to live. So for me, I was going through that downward spiral, it felt like, and I was losing things and I couldn't understand why. But I submitted to the fact that I don't understand. Remember when I stuck my hand out from under the covers and I said, God, I surrender. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I set my ego aside. I recognize, I can't even make myself breathe. I can't make my heart beat. So why do I feel as though I need to take on the whole burden of running this business by myself? I need help. And I reached out to God first for help, right? Because that's who I felt was around me in the middle of the night when everybody else is sleeping. Here's what happened next. I started meeting people. And if you remember what I said in the first journey, pay attention to the people that are coming in and out of your life. Pay attention to everything that's going on around you. There's some people, there's some communities out there where they eat, like, take for instance, they eat everything off of the chicken, right? Like they package everything. They don't waste anything. I'm inviting you, I'm encouraging you to pay attention to everything. So I started paying attention. I met a guy. He came to visit my brother and I in the islands when we were doing an event down there. And I did the thing that I would always do. I would say thank you, and I would show gratitude to people for doing things. I offered this gentleman an opportunity to take a hot shower at the resort where I was at. Because where he was staying, there wasn't hot water, yada, yada, yada. I said, listen, man, I'm going to be leaving in the next 2 days, but if you want a hot shower, you can come through, take the hot shower, feel good about yourself, and be on your merry way. That time of us talking, the time that we spent talking that night, he got to learn about me. I got to learn about him. And from that point on, all of a sudden, we started building a friendship. I didn't know who this guy was, but I soon found out that he was connected and he had resources that I would need. I didn't know that I needed them yet. But remember, I said, God, please increase my territory. And all of a sudden now, within a short period of time, this gentleman is moving me through and introducing me to people and putting me in rooms that I would have never been able to get into on my own. But I was paying attention to everything. By simply showing gratitude to someone, all of a sudden doors are opened. If I go back to the beginning, almost 2 decades ago, when I showed gratitude to that gentleman, that waiter, my life totally changed. I could have been miserable still working at that corporate job, but my life totally changed. And on this journey, the question that I've always been asking is like, who am I to be? Like what's happening within me? Like what is that I do on a day-to-day basis that makes things so special? What makes me so special? What makes these experiences that I have so special? And it reminds me of the question that I asked my manager back when I was working at that corporate job. Who am I? What do you see in me? We're playing the long game of life here. Sometimes many of you think like, I need to figure it out like right now. And I'm telling you, man, when you start realizing that you are living an entire life and there's going to be ebb and flow throughout your entire life, you realize that you will not waste anything and you will take everything and find something from it. So as I'm having these conversations with this gentleman, showing gratitude, he's introducing me to people, and all of a sudden he turns to me and he's like, yo, what is it about you, Garen, that certain things happen in your life? And I'm like, yo, bro, if I can be honest with you, man, a year ago, I asked God to increase my territory. I also surrendered to him. And now all of these things are happening. He's like, yo, I want to be a part of this. Like, I hear you. Like, I don't know what it all is, but like, I want some of that. Right? And all of a sudden now things are happening in my life that I wouldn't have dreamed of. When I was at the age of 9, man, I said I wanted to retire at the age of 45. I don't know if I put the 4 and the 5 together, that equaled 9, and I said 45. I didn't know. And I didn't mean like I want to retire and stop doing the things that stop working. I just wanted to be doing the things that I really, really want to do and love to do. Again, at the age of 9, I didn't know what that was. But because I was committed to the journey, this janitorial journey, let's call it that, because that's what kind of triggered things. I found my call in the toilet bowl, if you didn't know. All of a sudden now, I am becoming something different for what my life needs now. And the reason why I say that to you is, in the beginning I shared with you, man, the most valuable thing is you. And it doesn't matter if you're a janitor, a waiter, a waitress. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning rooms at a hotel. It doesn't matter if you're digging ditches. The most important and most valuable asset you have is you. And if you're not one who likes to read books and do all of that stuff to kind of like educate yourself, like it's going to be kind of tough, right? But along your journey, if you pay attention and learn from life, you'd be surprised that you're actually attaining the goals that you've set for yourself. But if you don't set big enough goals, you're just going to like putz along on your journey. I'm telling you that you can take everything around you, use it, and become that thing that you have on the wall. It's not just about the money in your pockets. You could be broke and actually be awesome as a person. And if you pay attention to the people that you come in contact with on a regular basis, they may be looking for you. Not what you have, not your money, not your business. They may be looking for you. And there's a lot more people out there looking for you than there may be clients for your business. You are the greatest asset ever. And if you would just pour into that, pour into yourself in a variety of ways, and learning and growing and paying attention to what's going on in and around you, you'll realize that life is gifting to you on a regular basis. My journey is continuing. Your journey is continuing. From the last time we spoke, listen, I have seen the comments. I've seen the comments in our first podcast post where people are saying, listen, man, I quit my job and this has been the best thing ever. I'm cleaning now and this is the best thing ever. And I don't fully understand where they are in their journey, but the fact that they are actually saying, yo, this is the best thing ever means that they have found something within themselves that is much more powerful than the work that they're doing. I've been in rooms with people who have made millions and millions of dollars on a regular basis. And when you talk to them long enough, you realize that they're hurting on the inside. They're dealing with all sorts of other things that don't make them feel as valuable. They feel as though they're not the best parent, or they're not leading well, or they just feel empty on the inside, but they're making millions. I'm not going to question if they've been investing in themselves, but I'm telling you, man, if even though you have millions in your bank account and you are still hurting, then it's clear to me that we need to focus on us. You need to focus on you. And the reason why I'm here right now is to let you know, man, again, you are the most important asset in the world. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how much you have. It's about you. And life is going to take you on all kinds of journeys. And if you're willing to weather the storm, grow deep so that you can grow tall, man, you can get everything and anything you want out of life. I'm learning a lot, man. I'm learning a lot. And the only reason why after all this time I'm back here talking about this journey again is because I want you to recognize, like we're all on the journey together. And as human beings, we have an opportunity to share in this experience. My coach used to tell me, Garen, bring your fellow man to shore. Can you imagine that? Somebody who's out there at sea, struggling, swimming, or probably drowning, and you're passing by in a boat. Can you bring your fellow man to shore? And if I could just share a little bit of me, and it helps you along on your journey, and if you would be courageous enough to share a little bit of you to help somebody else on their journey, I don't want to cry in front of you, man, but it's real. I need you as much as you need me. And when you look to your left and to your right, wherever you are, that person needs you too. What do you need to do? Who do you need to become in order to be the person that can attain that thing on the wall? You might think that thing on the wall is about you, but it's about who you'll become on that journey for the person next to you. They need that version of you. They need the version of you. They don't need the thing on the wall. They need the version of you. And the only way that you'll get that is by becoming. I want you to commit to that. This isn't like an altar call, right? But I want you to commit to that. I want you to commit to being the person who is like a great parent. Ask yourself the question. A friend of mine, Steve Hardison, he writes in his book and he says, who do you need to become to be the very best parent? Who do you need to become to be the leader of your business? Who do you need to become? Like, who do you need to become to be that person? If you'd ask yourself that question every single day, you'll start submitting to that journey. I hope this helps. That's all I got. Until the next time, to your success.